Is this thing on? Welcome to Rebooted the Podcast. I'm your host, Alida Hernandez. Come join me weekly to hear about my journey from recovery to healing after having a stroke and other life challenges. So let's get talking. Hi everybody, Alida Hernandez. Back again with Rebooted the Podcast. Hope everybody's doing great today. And today we're talking about peace. Where's the peace? Where's the peace in your life? And how do you obtain peace when you're going through things in your life? I want to welcome July's coming soon. Also, I can't believe it's almost the end of June. 6 months out of the year is gone. It's unbelievable. But hopefully you have plans for the next 6 months, staying healthy, getting healthier, doing some exercise also. Today our special guest is Regina, and she is a coach, author, and a yogi realtor. And she'll tell you what that is. But she is here to talk about her journey, her story, and how she found peace amidst through things that she was going on in her life. And then I will talk about also just little things like what I do for peace. Sometimes I'm stressed out at home. I live with several people, my mother, my aunt, 2 aunts in the house, my mother, lots of animals, my husband. So it's a full house. And so it's hard to get like a moment of quiet, because if you go to one room, there's always somebody somewhere in the house. So there's really nowhere you can like disappear to. Even in the bathroom, you can't disappear. So usually what I do is I started walking now for my health. So I go out and I'll do a couple of mile walk just through the neighborhood, and I really just enjoy the nature. So I hear the birds, I get some mangoes from a couple of trees, and if I find any other fruits and stuff, I try to bring it back. Today I walked 3 miles, and I literally walked 1 mile with 3 big mangoes. And I go, what am I doing? These things are heavy, so I was using them as weights. So I was like doing bicep curls with this big mango, because it must have weighed 1 pound, okay? So I said, I might as well use it for something. Then I found a bag on the way, and I put it in there, but it was pretty heavy. But that, it just like I smell the flowers. I mean, I just look at everything when I'm outside, and it distracts me and puts my mind in a different state of mind to get the chaos out. Because sometimes there's too much going on in the brain and you don't know how to shut it off. And that's the issue, is trying to find how to shut off the loudness, I would say, in your mind, and how to bring the volume down so you can actually hear your thoughts and get yourself together again. All right, just came up with that. But with no further ado, I want to bring Regina onto the show and welcome her. Regina, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I haven't seen you for 6 months.
I know, crazy to think. It's 6 months. It's like...
And everything, I mean, COVID has been going on for a while, and that was already 2 years now? Almost 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And, going to the 3rd year, but time just flies. I know you were traveling and different things you've been doing in your life. So just tell us about yourself, and how did you start with the peace? Like where did you start this journey about trying to help other people learn how to get peace?
It's a very good question. My journey started with me not having much peace, actually, and it started with I like to say, my emotional roller coaster of feeling like I really was challenged with how I was coping with things. And so you mentioned earlier yogi realtor, and my background is real estate. I still am actually a real estate professional, and I've had my license since 2005, which is amazing because now we're 2022, right? So it's been a long time. And I remember specifically one time I had a client who called me. It was 2 a.m. And I looked at the phone, and I was really pissed at the client, and I was really upset, and I was like cursing into the phone, and like, how could they call me at this hour? Like, who do they think they are? And then I picked up the phone, and then I pick up the phone with like agitation, obviously my voice, because it's the middle of the night. But first of all, I picked it up, which was problem number 1, right? Number 2 was I was spewing all that negativity onto my client. And fast forward, when I finally realized what happened, a couple years later, I started to really question how I was showing up for myself and my clients. And what I recognized was that emotional, those emotional roller coasters that I was having were actually invitations for me to change how I was relating to people. Because I noticed it wasn't just in my family, I mean, just at work. It was also at home, and it was with my friends, and it was, you know, whatever it was that I was doing that would take me out of my element, for example. Like, you know, it could be something so simple like working on something, right? And the phone rings. And like most people, you get disturbed,
right?
Because you're in the middle of something, and next thing you know, you got interrupted. So that is a simple example of your peace being stolen, right? And the key that I learned, just like I did on that day and that morning when I picked up the phone, was that's my responsibility to maintain my inner peace. And so instead of projecting my anger, my frustration to my client or clients, I started to understand that how I was behaving, how I was receiving that information was my responsibility. And I started meditating. That's when I became a certified yoga teacher and meditation teacher, and I started applying these principles in my business. And then my clients started asking me, hey Regina, what are you doing? Because you have this different energy about you. You seem calmer, you seem more peaceful.
Right.
And I was like, well, I am, right? And it was like the simplest things. Like I started, yes, of course, I became a yoga teacher, and I had those breath exercises and mindfulness, but there's little techniques you can do.
Now, before that, did you have somebody else kind of say, Regina, you're being a little too angry, or did you have other people like tell you? Because sometimes you don't see it.
Yes.
And it's happened to me, and the first reaction, you get defensive, right? You want to be defensive. Somebody's telling me, why am I acting like this? But then you have to really think about it and go, you know, that's a good, thank you for telling me. I didn't realize that I was acting like that, because it happens to me. And then I feel really bad. Then I go, I'm sorry, I was screaming, I was just so tired, or whatever the excuse is. So did that happen to you as well?
It did, and it happened later. I mean, I had already kind of started applying the principles, and so it was funny, because here I was, you know, I'm teaching yoga and mindfulness and all the things, and I'm still human, right? So I remember I was on the phone with my IT person at the time. He was working on my website, which is, I love my website now, and he was doing an amazing job. So he put together my website, and for whatever reason, we had like a sticky spot, and he couldn't understand what I was asking for. And so I had one of my coaches who is a marketing wizard. She's really, really good. And so she got on the Zoom with us, and we were having this phone call, and she could sense that I was getting more and more agitated. And so in the chat, she writes, Regina, where's the peace?
Oh, wow.
And it was like, yes, ma'am. You know, like, dang, like there's nothing
Accountability.
I can do. Yeah,
accountability
at its best. And I was so grateful to her, because that's been my mantra ever since. Like whenever I get a little agitated or whenever, you know, something bothers me, I don't always catch it because I'm human, but more often than not, it's like a little signal to me. It's kind of like a kettle of hot water. It's like, how do you know that the water's ready?
Yeah.
You either see some steam coming out, or you hear it. You hear the ringing, right, of the kettle. So for me, you know, feeling my body, you know, was that saying, your blood boil, you know, or feeling that knot in the throat, or feeling that belly, you know, kind of stomach pain, or whatever it is, like something.
Your body reacts to stress.
Totally.
So talking about that, so the other day I let myself, because I'm learning that you're in control of your body and your emotions. So when you get angry, for whatever reason it is, you're letting yourself get angry for the situation. And what is the purpose? I mean, you're not going to go through this whole conversation when it's happening, but, you know, I think about it now. So the other day I got upset, and I kept it in, and my blood pressure went really high, that my heart was hurting. And I said, okay, let me calm down. I sat down, and then everybody's trying to talk to me, my mother, and I'm like, I'll be fine. And I started meditating. I was just like doing the yoga pose, and I just breathing, because breathing is really good. But that's what happens. Your heart rate can go up. You can have a heart attack or stroke. And I already had a stroke. So I always, right away, I'm like, wait a second, hold on. Why am I getting upset for?
Yeah. And the truth is, I believe, and we talked recently about this, like the truth is there's all these invitations, I call them, in life, where we get these little taps on the shoulder, you know, these little signals like, hey, you know, you might need to check in, make sure you're eating right, make sure you're exercising, make sure you're not, you know, this whole idea of stress to begin with. Like, we, as I say, most of us, right, whether you're, you know, audience is watching from America or other countries, but most Americans live on overdrive, on like autopilot, and it's very unhealthy way to live.
It is.
Like, we don't make space for peace. We don't make space for calm.
They think we're a little cuckoo.
Yeah, like it's not necessarily the norm, which I'm excited to be part of changing that conversation. Most of us live in a state of consistent stress. And you know, you go to the doctor, what does the doctor say? It's stress.
Yeah, and that's a terrible word, because again, it goes about the mindset, about what you're saying. You need to say positive on what the words that come out of your mouth, and always remember to think before you speak, because you can hurt somebody like really bad. I mean, you can. I know I've in the past have thrown daggers at people, because you know, you're in that heat of the moment and you're really upset and you want to hurt that person, even though deep down you don't want to, but you're just so upset that you just lash out.
Yeah. And
you can say words that are worse than a dagger, and then you can't take it back.
Right. And
the words stick. You know, the wound heals, right? They always say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words, well, even though they say words will never hurt me, and that's not true.
They can.
They can. I just thought about that. We thought we would say that all the time when we were little kids.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's interesting, you know, that we're speaking about words, because I think words is such an interesting topic, right? Because even the word stress, like, what is it? If you look in the dictionary on Google, you'll see the definition is, you know, elevated heart rate, elevated, you know, cortisol levels. Like, you'll see the scientific explanation of it. But what I found was, in order for me to make peace with stress, I figured for myself, and I've shared it ever since, which is what I did with my clients, my students. I started teaching them, how can we make stress work for us, right? Because apparently it's so common in our life, so how about I make it my friend, right? So I created a little acronym, and I change it up sometimes, but I use what I call the stress method. And so it's STRESS. So S is see yourself in the future. So really visualizing, like, who do I want to be? You know, did I want to continue being that really grouchy, overworked, stressed out realtor? Or did I want to be a loving, compassionate support for people going through transition, who are looking for a stable, emotionally mature advisor, consultant that can help them, guide them through the process of real estate? So that's what I was committed to. And in that process, I was changing or training my brain, which is the T. Right? It's training your brain to think different, understanding that you can be different. You can have positive thoughts, like you said, Alida. Like, really understanding we are in control. We are responsible. So if I'm getting upset, it's on me to clean it up. And sometimes I might not want to clean it up. I just might want to have a pity party and sit in my funk for 2 hours, and you have permission to do that. But what is that costing you? Right? So ST, then R is reframing how you see things. Right? So training your brain to think different, and then reframing every time someone upsets you, or like you said, you know,
that trigger.
Go into the bathroom. And, you know, I'm laughing because you know, in our house, we have those pocket doors. And so in the bathroom, like, we have a joke all the time that
we're going to change. There's a pocket door in the bathroom?
It's a pocket door.
Oh my
So we
goodness.
always make a joke that, like, we're going to change the door, but it kind of keeps like that sweet family vibe. Like, the dog will, you know, come in and just be like, hey, what are you doing? And we're like, stop it! You know, like it's like a running joke in the house.
Oh my God.
At this point, I'm just like, keep the pocket door. It's part of...
Like, are you in there? Yes, thank you.
Exactly.
Can you close the door again?
Could you just knock? Like, it'd be so much easier.
I know, right?
No. You want to open the door. Okay, yes, I'm still here.
I laugh when people, like, they go to the door and it's locked, and they're like, how come it's locked? Because there's somebody in there, right? So they're like, and they're so banging on the door. And, you know, and now it's off topic, but I grew up before, we only had one bathroom for, you know, 8 people, right?
Wow.
We grew up, you know, in an apartment in New York. You had one bathroom.
Yeah.
And people would come visit. And I don't know how we did it, because everybody just, everybody figured out their system. Okay, I can't go now, I gotta wait. So
8 to 8:10, it's your time.
Exactly. And we gotta take a shower. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And now we complain we have like 3 bathrooms in the house. I go, there's an extra bathroom somewhere you can go to, you know.
Well, and it's funny you said that too, because this whole concept of like first world problems, right? Like, what is it that causes us stress to begin with? Which is why I love the reframe, because it's like, what is it that is upsetting me? Is upsetting me that I have, stupid example, but I got a new car recently, and it wasn't on my agenda, it just happened, but I love the car, and I got upset the other day because the keys were in the car and the door is not supposed to lock. It's like one of those, everybody has them in a keyless car. It does happen. The key got locked in the car, and I'm like, that's why I bought this car, was for this not to happen. So it was like, not with me. It was like 2 hours away. So my first instinct was to like raise, hockey sticks and just be like super upset. And then I was like, you know what is that going to do for me? And so I reframed what I was feeling, and I was like, you know what, I'm safe. I'm lucky that I'm at my friend's house. There's AC here. And it made me feel both empowered, but it also gave me the confidence to calm down and know that I was safe. I was okay. Like, gorillas weren't coming to, lions weren't coming
if that is that, if that's a fear or something.
Totally, and that's what stress often is it's a quick response, and if we think about it from a very primal state, when we were cavemen and cavewomen, if that's true, right, we have a response to a physical something that happened. So we are being chased by lions or chased by snakes or spiders or whatever the thing is that's stressing us out. But if you get a phone call and you just don't want to answer the phone because it's someone you don't want to talk to, you might have the same response, but it has nothing to do with talking to that person. It might actually be an old memory, which...
Right. And again, those goes by the triggers.
Totally.
And I think there's more to talk. I mean, we're talking about like kind of veering another way, but how the triggers and why we get upset. That's a whole nother conversation, I think, because that goes to regression, memories, subconscious, so much other stuff. But
and there's so much to it, like you said, like it's a can of worms that you can open, and that's why all of this is so important.
Just to interrupt for a second, I don't think we're on Facebook.
Yeah, we're gonna upload the recording later.
Okay. So anyway, so talking about techniques, meditation, I'm learning to do meditation now. I met Sunny, Sunny very well, and she like opens up the
Sunny's
chakras,
awesome.
And I'm still trying to figure all that out. But I take little elements from it, and it helps me. It really helps me. Just to there's just that calm down, like, okay, I'm having a hard time, let me just separate myself. And I think separating yourself, even when you have like a partner, a spouse, whatever, I find that now with maturity, that before when I was younger, I would be like, like just in your face and fighting and arguing. And when your level of your voice goes up, you stop listening.
It's true.
So all you do is getting more upset. So now a lot of times I just stay quiet. I walk away. I come back and we talk.
Totally.
Because if you talk in that moment, there's no way it's going to resolve. Because I've done it many times, and we just go back and forth, back and forth. It's like, well, what are we doing?
And that's, kind of going back to that situation I had with my mentor, my IT guy. In that moment, I was laughing at myself because, my mentor, she was like, in the chat, she says, Regina, where's the peace? And it made me pause and laugh at myself, because I was like, why am I getting so frustrated about this? Like, the guy cares, he's doing the best he can. Am I doing the best I can?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Then let's come to an agreement. And reality is not everybody's that aware, right? You might be dealing with something really big, like a contract or, divorce or something huge, right? A death in the family.
Yeah.
Like, there are circumstances and there are situations when I kind of like to say it's like a stress bank account, right? Like, if you think about it, like, you have a quota that you're allowed to meet for the day. And if you treat it like that, it totally changes the paradigm, because then you get much more. I know, because I've done this over and over again. I give myself permission to have like my pity parties or have my, funks, right? Because it's human nature. Like, we don't always, the sun's not always shining. Sometimes it rains.
Oh yeah.
And
many times.
I think it's really important to be grateful for the stress as well, because it's serving its purpose. It's serving. It's there to to teach us something.
Right, I was going to say a lesson. Everything's a lesson.
Everything's a lesson. It's not always a
good lesson.
Rainbows and unicorns.
Exactly. It's not a pleasant lesson.
Yeah, like sometimes it's, I had I don't know if I'd say a friend, but somebody that I used to know.
Mm-hmm.
And the example that was given was, I'd rather learn my lessons. Like up till then, I guess this individual was having really tough time accepting things. And so it's a very, I apologize in advance for the graphic, but it's like a dog on a razor blade learning lessons, right? Versus like a fluffy cloud. Like, I want to learn my lessons soft and easy.
Exactly.
I don't need to suffer.
It's true.
I don't need to be in pain constantly anymore. But there was a time when that's how I learned my lessons.
Exactly. Oh, me too.
I needed to have those bricks thrown up my head because I was dense and I was immature and I just didn't understand life. And now I'm like, no, I want to learn nice and soft and I want to enjoy life. And I ask myself, how much is this worth?
Well, I find that now that I'm older, there's a different perspective in life, because when you're 25, you have 50 or plus years still to live. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm 57. Mm-hmm. So I have 25 to, you know what I mean?
In my book,
to
you
30.
have like 40. But yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'll take 40. So I'll live to be 110. I'll be
exactly.
Good. I'll still have red hair too. Oh no, I'll be the funky grandma.
Right?
But your perspective changes, because now you're like, wait, I have so much life to live.
Yeah.
And I already wasted part of my life being upset, blaming other people for my problems. How many, you go through things in life, because of this, or because my mother, or because my father wasn't there, or whatever. You can come up with all these different excuses. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, you have to be accountable for yourself. And it comes from learning. Sometimes you don't know, so that's why you do the wrong thing, or whatever. But, it's just a constant learning on a daily basis.
And I think the other piece of this is really important, is self-compassion. Like really having that self-love, which is really, to me, that's what stress is also about, right? Is if I'm constantly judging myself for not getting it right, and oh my God, I get so upset so easily. Like I have, one business partner who's in like perpetual stress all the time. And I'm like, I care about this person, and so I'm over here like, hey, let's meditate, let's chill, let's go to the park, let's do this.
I got my aroma going. And
it's like, I get you have to work, but at some point you have to live also.
Yeah.
And so having things like this, and this is a really simple one, and I might even you might hear some people from your audience be like, no, you can't do that, but like putting your phone on silent.
Yes.
That was a huge change maker.
I do that.
Like, I put my phone on silent. If I'm in the middle of something, I give my absolute attention. And the reason is because I know I'm like, I have, I don't believe I have ADHD, but I do believe that I have a lot of shiny objects in front of me, right? And like, if a squirrel runs by, there's a strong chance I'm gonna look up and I'm gonna want to make friends with that squirrel.
I know. Me too.
And then what I'm working on is gonna get impacted.
Yeah,
I'm gonna miss my deadline. And so I'm like, you know what?
Exactly.
Just making these little adjustments. If it's that important, the person will call back, and if you see their number on your phone 2 or 3 times, then you decide, okay, should I call back? Is this an emergency?
Yeah.
And I'll even, sometimes people will text me and say, I just called, and I'll ask them, is it an emergency? I'm in the middle of something. Can I call you back? Yeah, I just want to see how your day is going.
Well, see, that's the thing. The phone is, I think, it's a huge issue with a lot of different things. I mean, it could be a great thing. It's a computer. So I look up everything. I read all day. All day I'm researching stuff for the show and just me to learn all the time. But I don't like when we go to dinner, I don't want to see a phone, because I want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you like this. So what are you doing? Yeah, I'm fine. Hello, can I see your face?
Right.
Like, you got the phone in your face.
Yeah.
My kids know when they come to the house for dinner, the phones are no phones.
Locked
and
up
they
in a box.
Usually they're pretty good. They're always telling me, Mom, could you put the phone down? Usually it was me before.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sorry, babe. He's like, Mom, the phone. Oh, okay. So I put it in my purse and I put it in the room.
Yeah. Well, and we're totally, what's that saying, slaves to our technology. And I think that's also part of the stress, right? Is like, really understanding that we are not masters to technology,
Right.
Technology is there to serve us. And so if we're using it, and I'm first to admit this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there are many times where I realize like I'm addicted to my phone.
Oh, yeah,
and
I know.
I make jokes that like the next retreat that I'm going to lead is going to be like,
No phones.
No phones, because
You need to do
you
that.
guys have permission to hold me accountable. Like there's times where you need to shut off.
Yeah, you do.
Because we are humans. We're not computers. And so we get to also be reminded, like, slow down, rest, take a nap. You know,
this will stress you, because I noticed before I was having a hard time sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that I was on the phone before I would go to sleep, like checking my emails, like last minute stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then it brings up more stuff, and then I start reading, and then it's 12 o'clock. Oh my gosh, 12 o'clock already. I got to get up at 7. What am I going to do? So now I start stressing.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, no, certain time, no, I'll put the phone down and that's it. I'll go to bed. And if I do use it, I put my earbuds on, and I've been using some meditation music. And also I'm doing like meditation manifestation. So they say during the sleep, that's your subconscious, and it's like, oh, it's unbelievable. So I've been dreaming and manifesting my next home on the beach.
Yay.
Okay, I'll let you know when I.
Yes, please do. I'm manifesting it with you.
Oh, I can see it already. But yeah, I mean, it's a daily struggle to be, you know, to get yourself through the daily chaos of
and
life.
it's a choice.
And yeah, it is. And again, like I have a choice. I have my mother and my aunt at home, and you know, it's a choice. It's a choice to keep them there. I don't want them in a home. There's no way. They will not survive. I was raised that you take care of your family. They took care of me when I was little. It's my turn now. We took care of my grandmother. She died at home at 90 years old. You know, my uncle died of cancer at home. So, you know, I've always been around since I was a little girl, taking care of family members, aunts, uncles, you know, whatever. And it's not easy. You know, we talked about this. It's not easy caring for somebody who's losing their memory. It's a really sad thing, because you regress as you get older. You become a big child, and they don't understand certain things. So you have to word things differently, and it's a whole another learning curve. You know, every day I realize that I can't move things around. The other day I moved something in the kitchen, and it completely disoriented them.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, and I didn't realize it. Then I read something that said when they have any kind of memory issues, they're used to seeing it the way it is. So when you move it, it completely messes up their brain so much that they're completely so disoriented. They don't know what room they're in, like literally. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was doing a good thing. And no, it's not, you know. But, so I will put that. Where can we find you online?
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. At internalpeacenow.com. And I did recently create a quiz called relievyourstressnow.com. Actually, it's relieveyourstress.com. And you can take the quiz. It's free. There's 10 questions in there. It takes less than 10 minutes, even I think 5 minutes. And once you finish the quiz, you get some customized techniques on how to actually work with your level of stress.
Oh, that's
So
good.
it's pretty
So you
cool.
have to go, and I'll put it in the link for the video and on social media, so you can go take the stress quiz. And I'm going to do it too and see what kind of techniques I can use. And just a reminder, on Friday, July 1st, to start our 4th of July weekend, we're having Salsa Fridays again at Genesis in Pompano Beach. We have a DJ Carlos, who's Mr. Orchard Beach, and he is great DJ from New York. A lot of people know him. We had about 70, 80 people last Friday. It was great. We had a great time. So come out. Remember, bring your own bottle. So you bring your own alcohol bottle. We have the waters and juices and the sodas you can purchase, and the ice and everything else, and just come and have a good time. It's like one big party right before 4th of July.
Nice.
So you're invited to come on Friday and dance some salsa.
Love it.
Thank you again, everybody, to watching Rebooted the Podcast, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Rebooted the Podcast to learn about each episode's guests and topics. This is your host, Alida Hernandez. See you next Tuesday.